welcome to the first meeting of the year for the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee for Frederick County Public Schools. For those of you that I haven't got to meet, my name is Tara Capps. I'm the current chair of the CCAC, as we like to call it. And I think we're going to dive right in. We'll have a moment here where we'll go around and introduce ourselves for all of our new members as well. Well, let's see here. And bear with me because I am the technology challenged, but we did it. Look, Katie.
Proud of you. I was ready though.
I did it. All right, so just a quick comments to open the evening. I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everyone has had a great start to the school year. Just a few updates about our summer. We have been busy bees over the summer. We did host special education community listening sessions, and all of the feedback that we received through those sessions has been culled together and will be part of our planning as we move forward to plan our recommendations that we present to the Board of Ed in December. So that is very exciting. We also interviewed many folks that had applied to fill the current vacancy, and the new members are here with us tonight. We'll be affirming them. And we're in the process of confirming the date for this school year's resource fair, which, cross your fingers, we'll get the confirmation hopefully this week, but it will be in March, hopefully, as it has been the past several years at Rock Creek School. Date forthcoming. I don't want to say it and not be accurate. Other than that, I'm just excited that everyone's here. Tonight's meeting is a little different than our regular meetings. And our regular meetings are usually between an hour to 2 hours, and we have a presenter that usually comes and speaks with us about a topic, or like Dr. Dyson will be here next month. But this month what we've done is we've combined our regular meeting, and we have a little work session in the middle for all of our subcommittees to gather so everybody can see one another and pin down meeting dates, meeting locations, meeting times, and subcommittee chairs. So we'll be doing that kind of towards the middle to end of the meeting, then coming back together before we adjourn for the evening. Does anybody have any questions? I know it's a little different than flying through. As we always do, we want to start off with our disability and diversity affirmations for the month. So there's a huge list. There's no way I could read all of these to you. But September is a large month where there's lots of awareness going on for all kinds of different things that affect probably many of us around the table and other loved ones and people within our community. So take a peek. You can always take a peek at this on our drive or on Granicus online to look at other things that might be going on that overlap your world, or someone that you know might be affected by, or something that you want to get involved with. Zooming along. We are ready to affirm several new members to joining our committee. Membership applications came in throughout the spring into the summer, and then the membership committee vetted those applications, came back together, and hosted a series of interviews and interviewed every person that applied, from what I remember and understand, as Matt nods, yes. And from there, offers were made for new parent, community, and staff members to join us this year, filling the vacancies that were on the committee. So, Matt, is there anything about that process that you want to share, or?
As applicants,
Putting you on the,
I know, but
before we announce everyone, anything?
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Matthew Forchback, just to give the introduction. Thank you for interviewing with me and welcome new members. With the application process, applicants can apply. It's like a rolling application. We take them and then we interview them. We rate them as a score out of 24 points as a membership committee. There's usually about 3 of us in it. We delegate, and then we score from there. The applicants that are here now currently are the highest scoring through that process. Thank you. And then we just continue that as we go.
Awesome. Thank you. So they were very busy this summer, taking care of getting everything set up for vetting and onboarding our new members. With that, our new members are listed above. We have 4 new parent members: Brandon Ryan, Casey Nelson, Macy Wilson, and Amy Krywalt. Did I say that? Krywalt. I tried. Sorry. If you guys could give us a wave so we all know who you are. We'll go around in a second and introduce each other. And 2 new community members: Abigail Sheffer. Sorry. Yeah. Awesome. And Sirad Hassan. Did I get it right? Yes. And a new staff member, Zanita McCoon. Did I get that correct? Yes. Sometimes I get it right. I appreciate everybody being here. As we are welcoming all of our new members, I thought it would be very nice if we just went around the table, because I know my first meeting, I was overwhelmed and I didn't know who anyone was or where they were coming from. So I'd like to just ask everyone if we could go around. You don't need a life story or anything fancy, but if you could just tell us who you are if you're a parent member. And that way everybody will know who each other is. Just short and simple. If there's something that you're compelled that you want to share, you're more than welcome to, but there's no way required. So I'm Tara Capps. I'm a parent member of CCAC. And I'll leave you for last on purpose.
That's okay. I'm Lauren Schellinger. I'm the vice chair for CCAC, and I'm in Adamstown, Maryland.
I'm Laura O'Neill. I'm the secretary of CCAC, and I am a parent member.
I'm Chris Griffin. I'm the treasurer for CCAC, and I'm a parent member.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hassan, and I'm one of the community members.
I'm Tanvi. I'm a senior at Urbana High School, and Hi, I'm Anvi. I'm also a senior at Urbana High School and a student member.
Amy Nelson. I am an FCPS CAS coordinator.
Sukhmana Mathur, I'm a staff member as well.
Matthew Forchback, staff member as well.
Brendan Ryan, sorry I'm late, and parent.
I'm Zoe Howell. I'm a staff member.
Zanita McCoon as staff member.
Emily Hankwitz, community member.
I'm Macy Wilson. I'm a parent.
Hi everyone, Jamie Shoplin. I'm the immediate past chair of CCAC, and welcome to all of you. I love seeing so many new faces, so excited for the school year ahead.
Jennifer Bingman, Associate Superintendent for Special Education and Student Services, and welcome as well. I'm happy that you're all here and joining us. Great to be working with you this year.
Yes, my sentiments too. Troy Keller, Director of Special Education, non-voting.
Katie Buckley, Director of Special Education, Troy and Dr. Bigman's counterpart, and also a non-voting member if that's important.
I'm Mary Kate Henry. I am a staff member, and I do secondary transition.
And I am a family support.
Amy Krewald, I'm a new parent member.
Casey Nelson, new parent member.
Sarah Givens, I'm a staff member.
I'm Jen Weave, I'm a community member.
Abby Sheffer, community member.
Sabrina Nail. I'm the Ombuds and Board Liaison with FCPS.
I am Janie Monnier. I'm a member of the Board of Education and liaison to CCAC, non-voting member. So it's great to see everybody here today, and I'm excited for a new school year.
I hope that helps everybody have an idea of who's sitting around the table. So you'll see we are comprised of parent, community member, and staff members. And then we have several key people who come to our meetings and partner with us throughout the year that are non-voting members. And that includes Dr. Bingman, Troy Keller, and Katie Buckley, who are the Associate Superintendent and the Directors of Special Education, as well as Grace and her counterpart, Issa, who's not yet returned to work, right? Because she is on maternity leave, and they run our family support services. And then we also have Amy Nelson, who is our CAS worker. And for anyone who may not know what that role is, the CAS worker is a social worker that works within the feeder systems of our school. So Amy works with all kinds of families for all kinds of diverse needs, including special education families. And then another non-voting member that we have is Ms. Monnier, and Jenny is with us as our board liaison. And the board and Janie have asked Sabrina to start attending our meetings, as she is a board liaison attending specific committee meetings to help be a better resource to the board and to families as the ombudsman person for our Frederick County Public Schools. So when families call, or teachers or staff or whomever reaches out, Sabrina has more of a knowledge of the different things going on with the different committees, and this is how she could learn more about our special education committee. Does anybody have any questions or anything special? Again, we're so excited to have everyone here. We're excited to get to know everyone and get to working together. With that, I think we will move to the approval of our draft minutes from May. They were sent out by Laura, and does anyone have any questions or?
I just have a quick correction to make in that we have caregiver event on November 5th, 2026, and it's been printed as November 6th.
The caregiver event, I'm just gonna take a note for Laura.
Yep, and it's on page 7.
Correction to November 5th. Okay. Thank you so much. Anyone else have any notes or corrections for the minutes? I get a motion to approve with correcting the caregiver event to November 5th.
A motion to approve?
Okay.
Second that.
Chris, seconded by Stefano. All in favor? Show of hands. Okay. Keep them up high. We have one correction. I wrote it down for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
Thank you.
All right, so that passes. Thank you all. Moving on.
Okay.
To Ms. Bowden.
So I'll expand my comments a little bit. I am excited to see so many new faces. CCAC is a very special community. So it's health and growing membership is something that's very important to me to see that happening, and I love all that. And just a quick update, a little bit of what I've been doing. We've been doing first of the year school visits. A lot of times they're called like first day of school, but it happens for 2 weeks, so that's many first days. I got a chance to see one of the homeschool rooms at Lincoln Elementary School, and I'm going to be at Butterfly Ridge on September 2nd, doing a visit there. And in my understanding, and Dr. Beeman and Troy and Kenny can update or correct me if I'm incorrect in any way, but the homeschool room is an opportunity for us to continue to serve the needs of our most vulnerable special education students who may in other times, in other years, be looking for a non-public placement, but it's always best to be able to keep our students within our own county, closer to families. Obviously, if you can avoid the transportation, to do that, because that's usually, that can be an hour away or so. So it's great to be able to provide spaces at Lincoln Elementary, Butterfly Ridge Elementary for more of our students and keep expanding our programs and offerings and resources for our families. So there's also some talk at different PTAs about special education subcommittees, and I'm actually kind of excited about that. So we're going to keep talking and communicating with the state PTA and other PTAs about the ideas of a special education subcommittee, which can be a great way for schools to surface things that are happening before it hits Facebook. Right? We would rather be able to talk to our teachers or administrators or everything if there's concerns directly than to have to feel like we're at our wits' end and need to do that. So it's a great way, and it's also an amazing way to make sure that everybody is feeling included, and it can be difficult, particularly for students, to advocate for themselves and even for parents to understand how to advocate for our students. Just so to have something like that at PTAs and then feeding into also CCAC as well, I think is a great way to kind of keep everything very vibrant and healthy and dynamic systems and resources for parents and families. So looking forward to a great year.
Thank you. Let's turn this back. Great. Ready? All right, up next we have our Department of Special Education. Do you want me to click on this little thing here?
It's okay, either way, we can just talk or you can click.
I'll click. There we go. I'll do my best to keep up.
You're doing great. We had an amazing summer of professional learning, and a lot of that came from feedback from not just CCAC, but from our families, from our community members, from our staff members. So we did a lot of professional learning this summer, and it was one of the highlights of our summer. So this is not comprehensive of all we did this summer. These are just some of the key highlights. We did do required professional learning for our administrators, and how do I navigate being an IEP chair? What's my responsibility? And what does prior written notice look like? So we did some peer review, and we talked about how can we enhance prior written notice moving into this year so it tells more of a story. And I think our administrators really enjoyed that because they had a chance to pull up their prior written notices, look at them, and then reflect on that opportunity. So that was the summer and required for all of our administrators. And then on August 3rd through 6th, we ran a specialized programs, professional learning, I'll call it a summit. And that was an opportunity for us to bring our specialized program staff back and get intense training during those days, and then an opportunity for them to be with their teams as well. On August 11th and 12th, that was our time where we welcomed back our special education teachers, and that was the 2 days that by contract we kind of control and content and ask them to come back. So this year we did the Wyatt, which we're really excited to roll out, and I know many of you were excited as well. We had people from CCAC on that committee. Thank you, Ms. Wheat, as we selected that assessment platform for our students moving forward. And then we also did progress track professional learning, which will allow us the opportunity to demonstrate to our families for progress reports a new way of showing data, and that's through a graph format. So I didn't know if you wanted to add anything to progress track.
As quarter one hits, we're definitely happy to show you guys kind of like what that will look like for some families. And to add on to like what Katie talked about, we also, right before school started back up, we had a full day. Our teachers went to curriculum day for a half day. We hosted all of our 10-month SIAs. Some schools got IAs to attend, but next time we're going to make sure that they get an opportunity to attend with us as well. But that was, they did like a 4 EL series rotation. So it probably is even more than 63 hours because the amount of time that we also had things going on simultaneous, but many of our staff got up to 5 to 6 days of PL before they even started on the 13th.
So blur.
So long ago.
And then, like, that doesn't include bus transportation staff and all those other professional learning opportunities that occurred as well. During our board presentation that we did in August 5th, we talked a lot about our updates to our action plan and where we are with progress in regards to that. We talked about celebrations and how we want to enhance things moving forward. Because as you guys know, we have a continuous improvement mindset. And as you talked about earlier, that feedback is really important to help us grow as a department and as a system. So we appreciate that. But that is also linked on this agenda in the English and Spanish version. So you can see where we are and where the progress has been. A lot of the things that we're really proud of are our expansions of our programs and inclusive service models. You know that's been a hot topic for us. We've been working on a comprehensive multi-tiered systems of supports leadership team and providing that information to our school teams. Is it not working?
Right here.
As if it's not.
When I clicked it, it was cranky.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Maybe this one? Nope, it's
It
cranky.
is live on the FCPS website, I promise you that. Implementing Ed Plan. Some of you might have different feelings about this, but I think if you stay with us, you're going to love it in the end. And I think you're really going to love it when that graph progress comes out. But implementing Ed Plan was one of our highlights for this year. In addition to strengthening our Tier 1 supports and really engaging our administrators and gen ed staff in that. We love our Family Resource Center. I'm not gonna steal their thunder, but we're always looking to expand that opportunity for our families. And then, you know, we've really been focusing on co-teaching, and we did some professional learning this summer with some of our specific schools, and that was an amazing opportunity to bring people together to focus on that as a way to support our students. So a lot of work still to do, a lot of enhancements and just refinement. But that's kind of where we are and what we're proud of. We did share with the leadership team when we met with them that we're working on a graphic for families that will try to simplify the IEP process, but we're looking for some feedback. So I do have a couple of copies here, and then we can put it electronically as well. Just making sure, is it in parent-friendly language? Does the graphic make sense? We don't want this to be overwhelming because the process in and of itself is overwhelming, whether that's just the nature of the process, all the different timelines, all the jargon and acronyms. So I have about 25 copies. If anybody wants a copy, you can write on it, give it back to me, and then we're working with Public Affairs to make this live. What this will eventually become, just so you can see the future vision, is there will be a QR code so that people will have access to this through a QR code. You could hand it out as a hard copy at an IEP meeting for parents who are going through the process initially. But then if they access that QR code, our ultimate goal is to build this out into ongoing interactive pages so that if you click on one of these links, it'll take you to more information about that section. So let's say transition down here. If you access the QR code, you were on digitally, it would then expand into a whole wealth of knowledge and information for you as families on transition. So that's the long-term vision. Bear with us as we want to make sure that this part is really set off on the right foundation before we proceed with the rest. So again, if you want a copy, I have copies, or else we can provide that digitally for feedback. Yeah. Any questions for Dr. Bigman, Troy, or myself? Yeah.
Just have one. So would that replace the draft of an IEP?
The draft of an IEP?
Yeah, or anything like a final, like, you know, because it's, or we're gonna be working on the draft as we are in the meeting, like, you know, the changes that they will suggest will be modifying, updating that. Is that what it is? Like,
No, so this just guides a family through, maybe you as a parent are at home and you're like, maybe I think that I need to call the school and contact the teacher and have a discussion about my child's progress, or I'm concerned about something. So this will take you from screening all the way through the process, step by step. That's the top half. And then when you get to the bottom where there's the circle, that's our ongoing process for students that you're gonna see more commonly once you're already within the process. So it has nothing to do with the draft IEP. It's just really a large document that simplifies the process for parents to understand where they are in that process.
Like kind of shows them the progress.
Yeah, like think about a parent who comes and sits at your IEP table. It's a lot. It's a lot to digest. We live it and breathe it every day, but when we speak things like screening, eligibility, they're not at the same language as we are in that. So it'll give them a resource.
A glossary.
Yes.
I did have a question about the paper. Would this be available in other languages for other parents? And even if the QR code, would it also be available in other languages like Spanish or ASL and et cetera?
So typically, we will translate our materials into Spanish and provide English and Spanish because those are the majority of the languages we serve in the district. So those would definitely be available.
Okay, and even on the QR code, the people who are Spanish reading and Spanish speaking, when they sign the QR code, it will also be in Spanish for them, or would that be an only English version?
It would probably take them to a English-Spanish opportunity, so just like our action plan, which I know you can't see because it's not linked there, but most of our publications, when you click on them or access them, there's an English version and a Spanish version for people to access.
Okay, thank you.
Great question.
I just want to acknowledge and thank you for this because this did come up in our feedback session 2 summers ago, just to create that journey for parents to help them sort of navigate. So this is, to me, the early makings of that and will be very helpful. Also, Parents Place of Maryland has like a 1-pager that kind of walks you through like the timeline. I don't know if you've looked at that, but it could be something to, get some ideas around. Because I have it hanging on my refrigerator at home, so I can just do a quick glance at what the timeline is for the different parts of the IEP process. But this is really exciting, so thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have another question. So for number 2, where it says screening, it talks about, an IEP reviews data and determines if an assessment is warranted. So like, say for a new parent who's new to, the disability world, would FCPS offer those testing services for the child to get tested, like say for autism or any other learning disability?
Yeah, so whatever the team would recommend is a provide that. So the team would say, I'd like a psychological, an educational, and a speech and language. And then really our responsibility as the district to provide those and then provide you as the parent with a copy of those after they've been performed.
Okay, perfect. So that means like parents wouldn't have to pay for an evaluation or anything?
No,
Oh, that's wonderful.
Anybody else have any questions or feedback?
I do.
In the corner, Jen.
Just to piggyback on what Jamie said, because you do mention 30 days in one section, but no place else you mentioned the 60 days or the 30 days. So I would just be consistent across. I think it's important for parents to know the timeline, the date, how long, how many days between.
I think that's the hard part for me, and maybe you could help me navigate that, because depending on which part of the timeline you're in, it can get very confusing. So that's where I think sometimes we're struggling a little bit, is the complexities of the ifs, thens.
If it's, if you go here, but then maybe here, and then not, then you go here.
Yeah.
I agree. It is more like a logic tree than it is.
Yeah, and we've looked at, Dr. Bigman and Troy might laugh, we've looked at roads, we've looked at compasses, we've looked at, so many different types of graphics to try to represent it. So again, we are very open. Yeah.
Typical timeline? I don't know. All right, let's brainstorm. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So like that's the key timelines. We try to associate these with the colors. But I do know what you're saying, the expansion of those. And we also are thinking about what's available on the first page versus what's available when you actually get into the interactive document where you have more information.
Okay.
So we're trying to keep this one pretty simplistic in nature, not to overwhelm people, but then give them the opportunity to dig deeper.
Yeah, places.
I'm sorry for all the questions.
Do not.
But I'm just looking at this and like kind of thinking from like a parent point of view. So I do see for number 4, it says eligibility and talking about the days of services. I was wondering if a parent, gets this information and sees, hey, we're gonna start testing. Is there any way to like help out or fill that gap to help the child with needs until they get an IEP?
Most of our students are already engaging in some type of intervention. It just might not be especially designed instruction at that point. And you would always, as a parent, be invited to a meeting when there were concerns about your child to discuss what the next steps would be. So you wouldn't just get this through an email and be like, hey, we're testing your child.
Yeah.
So it would be a more formalized process. But most of our students who are accessing this process are already in different types of interventions through our support system at schools. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Good questions.
Just one more for the key timelines. I would be more specific when it comes to the transition planning at 14 years, because when I see that, I think, oh, it happens every 14 years. Like, it's kind of confusing. So I would specify beginning when they turn 14. They would do the transition.
Yeah. Anybody else have any feedback?
I was looking at the IEP cycle. So you go the full cycle, but then also every year you're like, okay, there's also a ... between annual review, annual review, progress monitoring, ... reevaluation, right? There's also like a little one, right? Or no? Like, are you thinking this is like the entire experience and then you're done? Or I was thinking this experience is happening continuously, right? So like you have your annual review, you're monitoring, and then you reevaluate. You don't always go to transition planning. You don't always go to IEP implementation. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes you go like
dotted line in the middle.
You know what I mean? It's tricky. It's tricky.
And I promise you, we're open to any ideas.
Yeah.
I don't want to say struggled, but we've had a productive struggle with this because it's so complicated. Because if you are 14 years of age, you're going to go through transition every IEP cycle.
Oh, after 15, so like 14, 15, every year you do that.
It becomes another part of your IEP.
Every year once you turn 14. Part of
well, that's good to know.
Yeah, just learned
You know, coming up.
I see some of you just.
Just like we have early childhood IEPs look a little bit different.
So that's what I was also gonna.
There's so many different iterations.
Yeah. So I was gonna also suggest like cutting families are essential partners to like being about like age, right? Like 0 to 5 is child defined. Like when does CASA come in? When does other, like when does the transition planning come in? Like, so you have ages on one side,
I think re-child find is a good one because we use that term not just for what you're thinking of, but child find is everywhere.
It's a law, not a place. FCPS, we've made it a place.
FCPS.
Child find can happen anywhere. So like a student right now that is accessing private school, but they're in 12th grade, they can go to child find. Because child find is a law to ensure that you, before you even get an IEP, that a district as a whole is advertising to the county everywhere that, yes, much like she brought up earlier, if you suspect that your child has a disability regardless of age, we have an obligation to go through an evaluation process if we believe it's appropriate age.
So you're trying to go like one above that, right? Of like, before you even look at who the services are from, you're saying like, at any age, right? This is like the process. Yeah, I can see that.
The guidebook would go more
Yeah.
into detail of like what you guys are unpacking.
You guys are on the same struggle, the productive struggle we were.
Tricky.
We have time for one more, Casey.
Just kind of piggybacking what Allison said with like the age thing. I think maybe not necessarily child find, but I know starting at age 8, the child's IEP has to change from developmentally delayed to another disability label. So maybe adding that in and then doing the transition. I think having the age bracket is very beneficial.
Yeah, maybe a different landing page depending on, like one for where they are in the realm of education. I don't know.
I think it's just hard because not all of our youngest learners are coded with developmental delay, so even if you are in that age band, it's not always going to apply.
Yeah, this might just be like the basic IEP cycle.
Yeah.
Click through for a timeline that more befits your needs, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that's gonna be the communicative part.
Katie and Troy, do you have like a goal date where you want to release this, or more feedback by this date, please? So if folks have other things that come up or ideas or they want to send to you, so we can get them to you in a timely manner so it doesn't come after you've already.
So I know this is expedited, but I would love to have feedback by Friday, because then I work with public affairs, and then we talk as a team, and then we continue to vet this, and this has been a project we've been working on for probably 3 months. So we really want to try to get this into like our community sooner than later, even if we don't have the enhancements ready, just this basic component. So I'm trying to get it done as soon as possible, but that's not to say that we're not going to continue with edits in the future.
So what I'm hearing is if you have thoughts, questions, feedback, anything, share that with Katie and Troy. And would you prefer it over email or in the chat? How would you like to receive that?
Whatever's convenient for you.
So you could email them directly, or if you want to go into the chat and share it with the group at large, they'll see that as well.
Thank you guys for your feedback. We think it's really important.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry about
it. Just touch me.
One final thing I was just gonna add, like, I know we had talked about trying to have some hyperlinks in the, like, in the families are essential, that one corner. In addition to maybe like FAQs or, you know, collaborate with your team, like maybe linking to how do you connect with people. Celebrate Growth could even be like some stories from families that want to share, hopeful, positive, like, you know what I mean? Some actual like meet
testimonials.
Friendly who lives in this place and goes to Learning for Life and has been in, I mean, but like with authorization and allowing to share, but maybe it could be like, here's some different people, like maybe someone with autism and someone with different types of, that they could share. Like I started in infants and toddlers, and then I did this, and then I went to Learning for Life, and then I graduated. Just so you could see, like, I have a positive story of hope of my trajectory of how my time through FCPS went, you know, kind of thing. And maybe that could even be CCAC members that, do you want to get involved in CCAC? You know, like, do you want to connect with other parents with special ed in the community? It would just be cool if some of these were hyperlinked to find people and things. Yeah.
You are exactly on the right, like.
I feel like you already had maybe a thought of something like that.
Well, I think Mary Kate and I were just looking at each other because we talked about that for transition specifically.
Oh, for sure, yes.
You know, transition is really important and something that we want to celebrate, but also honor the businesses that are servicing our students and helping to support them through their transition
100%.
process. So we did that Doors MOU this summer, and that was really quite amazing. I don't want to steal her thunder, but like that's one of the things we talked about is how do we use social media or those platforms to do like a quick minute of tips and tricks for transition or celebrating the student success at this business and their career opportunities. So exactly your point, like where can we get people to envision and to see some of the things that are possible.
Anything else for us? Anything else for the greater good?
I think we're good.
Awesome. And we will move on. And now we're to Miss Mary Grace.
Everybody, if you want to go back to the page, yeah, and then maybe scroll down.
Right there.
Oh, perfect.
Figured it out.
As Tara mentioned, Isa is still out for the summer, so I've been kind of working hard on getting all the plans for the school year together. So starting with our at-a-glance calendar, we had that last year. Our new calendar is out. It's being edited, and I've been adding flyers and sign-up links. Usually you'll be able to click on them about a month out of the event, and then there'll be registration and things like that. So I'm constantly updating that with new things that we have coming up. So that's in our newsletter, and it also will go out in our school messenger emails every Friday. Next, we are continuing with our support groups. So morning support group will still be held at Common Market on the second Thursday of every month from 10 to 11:30. And our evening support groups will still be at Basil on the first Tuesday of every month from 6 to 7:30. We will be doing on specific days, we'll be doing kind of specific discussion topics alongside like parent discussion at our support groups. So I did link all of the flyers for all of our events.
Oh.
Okay.
It's not your fault. We were having a problem with the link earlier, too.
That's okay. Well, they're all linked on the calendar as well, so if you click on the calendar at some point, you can check that out. Maybe that'll work. All the flyers are up, and you should be able to register for there we go. And then the next page will have a description of all of the specific topics that we'll be talking about and the days that we'll be having specific discussion topics during evening support. Alongside evening support group for parents, we're also going to be doing a play group simultaneously for kids. So it'll be like a social skills / play group. We got a lot of feedback from parents that they want to do more of like socializing and like peer building with their students, so this is an opportunity for them to do that. Childcare will still be provided at all evening support groups, so parents are welcome to bring their student if they would like. And that's all for support. And then we have also been working, I know I mentioned this last year, we've also been working on our feeder pattern events, so they're linked on there, I think.
That's really good.
There will be a specific day for all 10 feeder patterns where we will hold an IEP informational session. So it'll probably be more basics of IEP, but it will be an opportunity for parents in that feeder pattern to meet with peers in their area and meet with Ethan, myself, and ask questions specific to special education and just kind of get resources. So it'll be we just want to reach out to more specific areas because Frederick is a pretty large area, so we want everyone to be able to have the chance to speak with us and not have to trek all the way out to downtown. We'll come to you. So that's kind of the point of these this year. It is our first year doing something like this, so we're going to see how it goes and then kind of tweak it for next year. So we would always love feedback. If you're able to attend these, that would be great. And then next, we have our annual Family Resource Center open house. We've been doing that the past 2 years. This year, it is in October. It will be like a table or a treat theme. So our vendors will have treats to pass out to the kids, and we're having our BCBAs create a social story, so that way it can kind of guide families' trick-or-treat experience. There'll be raffles, events, activities for the kids. So we've kind of been working on this.
So that's a Friday?
Yes, but schools are closed.
Schools are closed that day.
Schools will be closed. And CCAC was also invited to our open house and our feeder pattern events. I think that's about everything I have. Oh, I also have been working this summer on a comprehensive resource list. So it is about 15 pages of pretty much all the resources I can find in Frederick County, or kind of the surrounding Maryland areas. We've gotten a lot of feedback from parents asking if we have anything of the sort. And I know that our website, we provide a page where you can find resources, but it is a little bit outdated and it definitely could use some updating. So I have been working to create kind of more of a comprehensive list. It's still a work in progress, but should be out the next couple of weeks.
Amazing. Thank you, Grace. Does everyone here, especially our new folks, do you guys get the school messenger messages that come out of Grace's office? She sends emails, she'll get a text message, she'll like check your email, and in your email, this information she just spoke about, including like the calendars and all of her flyers, they come out through an email. Do you guys all get those? Or need help with learning how to get them?
Fridays, and I believe our public affairs department is a list of all parents who have students in special education. So I believe that everyone who has a student in special education should be.
And if your student isn't in special education, or you're a teacher or you're a community member, you can go into FCPS's website and create a messenger account and say you want to receive notifications about special education, and then you'll get all of those that come from Grace. And then when we as CCAC send information out, we send it through the special education office out through that same venue. So if you don't have access to that, yell at me or Laura or somebody, and we can help you navigate on how to do that. It's a great way to get all this information right when it comes out.
Grace, is there a way you can share the resource list, even just maybe with our group or somebody, so we can make sure in case we happen to have anything you don't have or vice versa, that we, before you send, you know what I mean, before you send it out to everybody?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I do have to get it like approved by my supervisor first, and then I can kind of send it out to you guys. And
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. All right. We don't have anybody that signed up for public comment tonight. So we have no public comment tonight. But if we did have public comment, this would be the time for those of you that are new. Our public comment is allotted up to 3 minutes to speak. People come and sign in and do their thing. Not tonight. I sent an email out to our most recent subcommittee chairs, just saying if you have any updates that you need to give about anything that actually happened over the summer, like for instance, we all knew membership was working over the summer, but just in case there was something we need to share with everyone at this time before we move on to working our subcommittees briefly. So Matthew, I know you have things to share, so we'll start with Matthew.
Just for starters, I just want to thank the CCAC Membership Committee for working hard for the interviews all summer. We went through and interviewed 16 incredible potential candidates for our opening positions. Just a huge welcome to our new members, Brandon, Macy, Casey, our parent members, Zanita, a staff member, our community members, Sarad and Abby. Each of you know our new members bring unique variety to special education, their dedication, experiences, and genuine willingness to support each student with disabilities and their families each and every day. We're so excited to have their voices and their perspectives joining our committee. Again, thank you to Zoe, Laura, and Sigmana for participating in the interview process because it was long, but we did it. And we look forward for a great another year putting children first and strengthening collaboration with Frederick County Public Schools. Just something to look out for that we discussed too is maybe like a membership social in September, October, but we're still working through that. We'll share a later date, so just stay tuned.
Awesome, thank you. Communications, is there anybody, I don't think anything really happened over the summer that would.
We're just still working on updating website, making it a little more accessible with the wording and how it is, and making it easy also to go in between. And then we also, the only other thing we did was put the videos on over the summer.
Awesome, thank you.
Can I just reiterate what the videos are?
I was gonna let you talk about them.
Oh, okay.
Or you can talk about them.
Yeah, we all work collaboratively.
I know all three of you work on it.
Yeah, we work together. All
It's a lot of brainchild.
So potential or new members, we did a event where we recognize champions of special education. So something that Anna brought to the communications table was we did celebrate them once, but why don't we continue, to promote them and show the good work. So throughout our social media, we've been highlighting them again. So recently we just did TJ Middle Schools, the whole expressions program. Before that was a gentleman from Brunswick High School. I believe Crestwood Middle School was highlighted a few times. So we're working on it. Again, that was, fill in, content, but now we focused on members. Now we're gonna try to hopefully go back to that and continue that.
So they're like little videos. Sukmana went out and interviewed. Stealing your thunder now. Sukmana went out and interviewed every person, the persons or groups that we honored, and then created a little video and then worked with Emily and Matt to get it out there so people could learn more about these folks that we honored and what they do and how they make a difference and what their journey has been. So it was really cool. It's her little brainchild. She's got all these great ideas.
I just thought we should continue because people are champions regardless. We have one event or people are still making difference in lives of those kids, and we should continue to celebrate them. So that was the whole idea behind them. And Emily and Matthew, they were definitely helpful in putting it on Facebook, creating a nice, editable version of it and things like that. So we'll continue to do that this year too.
Awesome. With that, any other updates from the events committee other than that was your big project this summer that you were working on?
Yeah, that was the only one. We're looking into other things, but we'll talk about it next week.
Okay. Anything for policy and legislation?
Working on planning. for the upcoming year.
Student Voices, anything over the summer? Board of Education Election Subcommittee? Just looking at.
Well, we would, Chris proposed doing a second round of interviews or having another forum since we came through primaries. So we're looking into October, and we are currently looking to secure a
Unfortunately, in 2 places that we've started with, we're not available, so we're working down the list. So stay tuned for that. There's no bylaws activities that happened over the summer. And then budget. Was there anything that you want to give a final word on, Jen?
Me?
No. Budget is a budget is a budget.
Materials.
Huh?
Material, those are y'all's.
Oh, thank you, sir. Troy helps us spend our money. Troy helps us spend our money.
I loved it.
All right, so, I don't want to edit the design. I'm not trying to. Go away. See, I have a technology force field. Nobody believes me. Why is it, what is it doing, Katie? What is it doing?
Such a relapse line.
Go back to this.
Go here.
Oh, down at the bottom. Yeah, just put in where? By the date and time.
The present, I think.
Right here?
Yes.
Ah!
Oh, we use now.
Nope.
Gosh,
Got a
well,
link.
see if you could do viewer.
There we go. I just gotta make sure I'm not on a link when I click.
You did it.
See, I need it. You don't know the struggles. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our subcommittee breakout. So everyone should have received an email that came from Laura, whether you were a returning member or a new member, where you supply us with information and let us know what subcommittees you were interested in participating on this year. Or not participating on. So what we would like everyone to do, because some people have asked to participate on more than one, which is totally cool and welcome, and we appreciate that. Pick your number one subcommittee out of the subcommittees, and for reference, they are membership, communications, events, and then we have 4 ad hoc committees right now: policy and legislation, student voices, the Board of Education election, and bylaws, and then we have the budget subcommittee. I do want to give one caveat about the budget subcommittee so everyone understands. We operate on a grant budget. The budget is set to $2,500. There are lots of rules and regulations, and Chris is the automatic chair of that because he is our esteemed treasurer, and we have to plan a year in advance, so the budget for this year has already been proposed under that grant, and we kind of have our monies in buckets, and we have one chance to alter that if needed. So the budget subcommittee can help support that, can help Chris coordinate with other committees, but if you're on the budget subcommittee, I would urge you to pick another as your top number one, and then sit on the budget committee to help liaison between the different committees, because there really isn't like, oh, the budget subcommittee is gonna go work on X, Y, Z. It's kind of like Chris has to maintain what we're doing in the communication with our partners in financial services. Does that make sense to everybody?
Don't be afraid, budget committee is not that easy.
Yeah, it's very simple and fun, and exciting to find a way to make the money work. Right, Jen?
It's great.
It's great.
I mean, part is very good.
The committee part's fun. During this time, what we would like to do is break up into your number one choice. We're gonna gather in groups around the room. For those viewing at home or viewing on the recording, I'm sorry, this will be boring. Fast forward. We're gonna deliver each committee a little worksheet, and the goal is, at the end of our time, which right now is 7:30. No. I'm looking at what time. What's our time?
6:50 right now. 6:49.
Okay, we're ahead of schedule. So they're supposed to report at 7. Yeah, so we have until like 7:10. So that gives you 20 minutes. And during that time, you guys need to select a chair by whatever process your committee chooses. You need to identify your meeting dates, like if you're gonna have a recurring meeting on this date or that date, the time and the location, and then and what the members of your committee are. Everyone will have a handy dandy form to fill out, because not everyone filled out.
Sorry, just a point of potential procedure for Open Meetings Act. I think you may want to end the meeting to have this breakout, because the public is not going to be able to follow along.
Okay.
And probably reconvene if there's more business to be had towards the end, because the whole point of meeting in public and for this to be recorded is to create an open and transparent process. If people are going to different parts of the room, that's going to sort of negate what the whole point of that is. I don't know if there's other thoughts.
I think you guys just need to make a choice, because we can stop the recording and then turn it back on if you're gonna do report outs, or you just report out at next meeting.
No, we
You have
have
your
a,
subcommittee the whole time and then report out next
we're
time.
coming back together. We're supposed to come back together to report out on, like, this is what we've chosen, so if it's a second choice committee, we'll know. And then we have all of our member comments followed by adjournment.
You want to switch it and just put the breakout after and
Yeah,
adjourn?
we can do that.
everything, adjourn, do breakout, and then do your.
We can move our member comments forward and then do the breakout at the end. But then we would need we would still be reporting out what was decided by each committee, so others that needed the information would have it. That would be fine.
You would just have to share that again at the next meeting.
We can share it again at the next meeting. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do, because we're flexible. Improvise, adapt, overcome.
There you go.
Right? So we're gonna hop forward, watch this. Member comments.
There we go.
So this is a regular activity we do at all of our meetings for those of you that are new. We go around and by category of our membership, if you have something you would like to share for the greater good, or new business that you want to bring forward, or something that you want to talk about or bring to us, this is that time for that. And currently we go through our parent members, their staff members, our student members, our community members, and then of course we have report outs from the majority of our non-voting members, but Amy, if you ever have anything, you know you're more than willing to bring that up during the community member time as well. Awesome, so I'm gonna kick it off and ask if we have any parent or family members that have anything they would like to share tonight or bring up for the greater good. Allie.
Hi. My son Jack is in the RISE program at Whittier. He's a 5th grader there. We're very, very proud and excited for him to be successful in that program. This was my first time having a summer IEP meeting, and I found that to be a very interesting process, and something I think it's valid to bring to the CCAC committee is that there were people in the room who didn't know my son, and it's like, that's okay-ish, but there were several people in the room who didn't know my son reporting because it was the summer, like I knew why, right? But they were reporting based on the paper that they were reading, and they had very strong opinions about what they were reading and didn't have the context of the child or ever having met the child. And so I just thought that would be a food for thought for something to consider, and food for thought for staff as policies and things are considered.
Can we comment on that? I'm just sure. Okay, so I had a similar experience. My younger son goes to Orchard Grove, and they had a switch at the psychologist over the year. And when he walked, he actually was, he couldn't, the new guy couldn't make it to the meeting, so somebody else came in and read the notes from the notes he took from the other guy. And that was my first question was, you have no idea who my kid is, so I don't know how you're, go talk to him, like for 5 minutes, before we have, at least have some sort of face-to-face contact before you're willing to say anything. I mean, because for me, if I don't speak up, that's the guy who's late, and that's all you can take from that. So even if nobody's ever met me, they remember me as the late guy. If someone comes into that meeting and says, I'm speaking for the psychologist and I have X, Y, Z as the points I want to make, if there's no filter there, or if mom or dad is, not able to stand up or isn't free to speak, there's now an opinion made based on notes from somebody who's not even there anymore. So it's, definitely having some sort of face-to-face time should be some sort of prereq before you speak on a kid's, behalf.
Yeah, and can I just double down on that a little bit? Yeah, so it was especially difficult because the people in the room, oftentimes I think in IEP meetings, the parent feels like, oh, I'm one of like many people that get to make a decision. And so I was one of like several people who didn't even know my kid and who are making like substantial changes or substantial pieces to his IEP. And, and it felt like I might have been a little bit overruled by people who didn't know my kid. So so I like the idea of maybe a prereq or just something that has at least noting who has met your kid and who hasn't.
Any feedback about when that happens, when staff changes mid-process, or if you're meeting, like happened with Brandon, where the staff changed, versus Allie, where it's folks that maybe don't know the child are working on the IEP?
Mine was in the summer, so like
summer?
people didn't work in the summer.
A couple of things that we can respond to that without talking about specific student issues is there is a reality sometimes we have to have people cover, like if somebody goes on maternity leave and that person like finish up an evaluation. I do agree about like opinions versus just being a subject matter expert and reporting out. So I appreciate that feedback. The other thing is that as a parent, if you don't feel comfortable during an IEP process, you can ask for the meeting to be re-adjourned at another time because, are we gonna agree to delay it? I mean, that impacts timelines, but we could agree to delay it when the FCPS staff that know the student can be available. Those are options. But summer meetings are difficult because our staff are not on contract. We do have money set aside where they can volunteer to show up, but that is because they're not on contract, they're not required to show up. And so that is all a voluntary process. And so we have legal timelines that we must adhere to support you all as parents, and so that's sometimes why you end up getting different staff. Anytime you guys have any concerns about your own, we're happy to unpack that.
And if an alternative staff person was coming, unless it was like an emergency that happened that morning, would the school be notifying the parent ahead of time that someone was coming in the place for someone?
Typically, you'll find out if for some reason. Now the summer, I don't know what occurred during the summer, or if like a lot of times our schools will say, during the summer it might be different staff, but.
I know for mine, I had a teacher that was sick that morning at the hospital, and I walked in, they're like, oh, and I was like, okay. But like if it was like, for instance, someone filling in for someone whose positions had changed, in the all best worlds, the school would notify the families ahead of time, if possible.
I can give you the example of when SLPs and things like that go out on leave, we typically say, okay, send that, so parents find out they have a new service provider, things like that. Meetings, so many different situations.
It just depends on each
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wasn't notified of who was attending, right? But I think I was surprised I didn't know who was attending, didn't meet my kid. Because a lot of times in the IEP process, people meet my kid without, it's like but you kind of don't know. You're like, oh, you know him, cool, But in that case, I did know who was attending. I didn't know that they didn't know my kid.
So how did you figure that out?
In the conversation, I was like, oh, have you met him? I was like, oh, wait, who has met him? Yeah.
Any other parent things you want to share? David, Macy?
Oh, okay. So I just had a quick, question or just something to bring up. So I'm new to the IEP world. My daughter is 3. She's in the pre-K 3 program through FCPS, and she has an IEP. But she also has, she's also in ABA therapy. So what I was told was that when she has an IEP and when she goes to FCPS, the aide is not allowed to come with her in school. So I was kind of just wondering, why weren't the aides allowed in school, and if there are, other children who have maybe similar experiences like my daughter, she's kind of high on the spectrum, but she's also very highly functioning where she can, eventually integrate into a classroom with non-special needs children. She's on like 8 special needs now and 8 non-special needs children, to integrate the classrooms. But eventually she will be able to go to a FCPS, program that is not for special needs children. So I just wanted to kind of understand why there wasn't like an extra level of help or anything when it came to that.
One thing I would say, these are kind of hard because we're talking about individual student cases. And so it's very
Yes.
difficult for us to go in depth in these types of situations because there's so much more information, right? You're kind of presenting this little piece of it, and then there's so much more information. And so it's really difficult for us to really speak to. When it comes to outside providers coming in, we typically have FCPS providers, right? And so what we look for are FCPS providers. But we can certainly go more in detail with you. I think that's a great thing. And just know that if there are ever individualized conversations or questions that you have as a parent, we certainly want to be able to problem solve them with you, but it's very difficult in a public setting for us to get into the details with regard to specific decisions that are made, because there are just all kinds of different factors that would be very difficult for us to talk about in the public setting. And so it's easier for us if you reach out to us to say, I have this individual concern, we are here, we want to problem solve, and we want to kind of help to work through the process.
Yes, I do have another question touching onto that, reaching out personally. I do know somebody who has a child in FCPS and they kind of experienced something similar and reached out to somebody, but they never heard anything back. So what would, a family or a parent do after that, after exhausting all the resources, going up the ladder and they don't hear anything back?
They reached out to one of the 3 of us?
No, I don't believe it was the
I
one
was gonna say.
of you, but it was somebody on the FCPS website who was a director.
What I would say is certainly move through the process, and if you
Yes.
do not get the response, then eventually reach out to one of the 3 of us or all 3 of us. We try to be very responsive. We don't all respond.
Yes.
We usually coordinate and say, okay, that's Ms. Buckley, so therefore she's going to be the one that's going to take the lead. And so you won't see me respond, you'll see her respond, because it's just confusing if you have too many people. So we usually try to coordinate. So if you email all 3 of us, we'll make a determination as to who will take the lead, and then we will facilitate that coordination, and we'll follow up with the person who you didn't receive, right? Because that should never happen. What we want is that everybody is responsive and certainly communicating. Sometimes it takes time, but there should be
Yes.
communication, and so that would be our responsibility to follow through with that. And so just know that we want to hear that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
If I can add, Macy, I have found in my junk mail on the at fcps.org email, other emails from parents that are CCing. So many folks are in this building, and I've been shocked to find it in the junk mail. So there's a phone number usually associated with that website that has everybody's email. So encourage them to call and leave a message, because unfortunately, maybe because the security is so tight, and I don't know. I don't run the filter for that. So, but just in case, right, to follow up with a phone call, so call in. And also Sabrina could help with that if there's just getting help people direct them to the right office.
Okay, thank you.
That's a great resource. Thank you for sharing that.
Regarding the.
Yes.
Okay.
My experience is very different. I'm a FCPS parent of a kindergarten student at Leonore Creek. However, I've been a special educator in MCPS for 11 years. So I get the best of both worlds. But from my understanding, and if someone correct me if I'm misspeaking, and ABA 101s are not allowed in Maryland public schools because they are a private provider, and with confidentiality laws and everything, they are not allowed in a public school setting.
I ran into that issue too. Our son had it about 3 years ago, and they were like, because of that, because they don't allow it.
Okay.
I don't believe it's FCPS. I believe it's a Maryland state law.
Oh, okay, so I guess kind of like piggyback off what you said, my question would be, so if they're not allowed in Maryland state schools, would FCPS be able to accommodate the child in any way, like them knowing, hey, they kind of need an additional help, or just maybe one person to sit with them in the traditional classroom just to be specifically for them? Do they have like a temp agency they work with through FCPS, or how would that kind of work? Because I do remember going to school in middle school, and there was this child I went with. He had autism, and he had an aide with him, and she worked through FCPS.
I think it kind of depends on your child's IEP team.
Okay.
To determine if that was appropriate or not.
Okay.
So that'd be a question for you to ask the IEP team.
Okay.
As a parent, you're allowed to request a meeting at any point.
Okay.
It's within 30 days after the parent request. the meeting, so if you.
And I would say if you have questions about ABA or outside therapists coming into the school, your resident experts would really email these three people here, and they could tell you what the FCPS policy or the state policy or law they have to follow is.
Mr. Keller is elementary, and Ms. Buckley is secondary. That way it kind of helps you. if
Oh,
you-
okay.
So Troy's your guy, Macy.
Okay, okay. And- Okay, yeah, and I do have one other thing just to bring up as the parent. I was wondering if there's an accommodation list for IEPs. So like once a new child comes in or an IEP has been found that they need it, is there any type of accommodation list that is given to the parents so they know, hey, I can ask for this accommodation for my child, but maybe I had never thought of it?
You follow the Maryland Accommodations Manual, which is a public document that you can access. Like if you just make sure you have the
Yeah.
current one, that's available to anyone in the public.
Oh, okay, so my other question is, so other parents that may not know that, how would they be able to like basically ask for help in a way? Like say a child is having a hard time, say sitting still or whatever, and they're asking for like a fidget toy or like some type of seater for their feet. And maybe that's not like brought up or anything, but the parent wants to, see if that's available. Could they always ask for that?
That most likely would be more of a supplementary aid in our world than an accommodation.
Oh, okay.
But the team could help guide you through all of those requests. I would just say, hey, I see this works at home. Have you seen this at school? And we'll go from there.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Katie?
I'm good.
You good? Okay. Any other parents?
Yes.
Laura?
I just want to welcome all our new members. It was very nice to meet you all in the interviews, and it was very nice to hear your stories. When we asked, they were very compelling. One of the things that has been very enlightening this year is to bring up PTAs and subcommittees that represent special education students. I understand that currently we are trying to form something like that without being too formal. It's kind of an informal process at this point, and I am very grateful that people are beginning that movement.
You know I've been on those emails? Is that what you're looking over?
I don't know what you're speaking of, but
Oh.
I understand that there have been movements to
Yeah.
bring subcommittees forward and have special education or students with disabilities representation. So I am very grateful that this will be a loose.
Oh, okay, good. I
a
can't tell
loose
it's
and
classes.
formal.
So I'll just add on to that for a little bit. So a couple of weeks ago, I was involved with another parent who has been pushing over at Deer Crossing and kind of getting from resistance from the PTA as far as for, that consideration for her voice. And I think that's really was my main motivation for joining here is because I have two kids. My oldest is nonverbal. He was born at 26 weeks. This kid has had a challenge since day one, okay? We did infants and toddlers. We did, he went to he was in the 3-year-old. We did the 4-year-old. We were on IEP. He got bit, and then we went over to expressions. And it's been, I enjoy the process as it is. But I also can see, whereas, PTA for, I don't know what the politically correct term is, but normal, non-autistic children, Gen Ed, okay, thank you. So, there's a PTA for that. And I can understand that they have, they have certain things that they want to do. And I just, I've been back and forth on these emails, and I've stayed silent outside of maybe coordinating with the mom a little bit just to say, hey, I support you. I understand what you're trying to do. I said, I can't fight a war with you right now, but I could definitely give you a sounding board for what I'm hearing. And I think the biggest challenge is just that, you don't know it unless you've lived it. One of my favorite sayings is, if you've met an autistic child, you've met one autistic child. There is nothing that is that transitions from one to the other. There's tendencies and whatever, but it's their kid. If you met my son, you met him, and that's it. So I really do think that the idea of having, and I don't think it necessarily needs to be every single school has to do one. I think that idea of going a little bit beyond and just saying, Deer Crossing's 23% children with special needs. It's 1 in 4. I mean, asking for that voice and not getting it is hard, but I think it really comes down to the fact of saying that, you know, every school has that challenge, and it shouldn't just be because there's a concentration at one school or another. It's just having the ability to stand up and say, you know, she's asking questions about, you know, what she's asking about the whole document list and stuff, where they come out with all the accommodation stuff, and I'm saying, oh yeah, that's supplemental aid, because I've been through the IEP process now 5 years or something like that. So having that ability to sound out, I literally was picking up at Deer Crossing, and my son's running out. He comes out with his headphones on and stuff, and this mom is sitting there, and she's just nervous, and I'm just like, hey, you know, is your son in expressions? She's like, oh yeah, it's his first day. And she had nobody to talk to. She didn't know. You know, she's sitting here like nervous as hell. I can see her. This is the first time she's probably let her kid go. And it was just, be able to give her a place where she could reach out and join if she wanted to. It's not saying you have to join, but having that ability to just to reach out and say, oh my God, it's my first day at this. What do I do? You know, what can I expect? And just having that communication back and forth outside of the people that are willing to do it themselves, you know, giving them that chance to do it from like a...
To build community.
Yeah, because they're, I mean, I'll just be honest, the PTA, it does not sound like they want us there, just from the way that they do stuff, and it's not their fault, because they don't have that child, they don't have that perspective, and if they don't want to give that voice, which, you know, I don't know the bylaws and everything that they're required to do, but I think that forcing it on some people that are resistant to it is kind of the opposite of what you're looking for, and having that joint area where everybody can kind of come together would be a great resource, and I think that we haven't moved because the expression program is that great. I mean, that's really why we haven't sold our house and moved, because, you know, it's crazy out there in the economy and stuff like that, but I'm like, but do they have this where we are? And they're like, my wife and I always come back to, no, this is the best thing for him right now, so, you know, I'll fight for it to be it for anybody's tool. I think it's, you know, I think it's great.
Awesome, thanks. Can we move on to staff members? Staff members? Zoe.
Okay, I have two things. My first thing is, I know, and I don't know if we discussed it yet in this meeting, but that the camera are getting pushed into new.
I meant to say that earlier and say thank you. Yes.
So they're getting pushed into 4 more schools this year. And I was just curious, as a staff member, if we could put some emphasis on also putting cameras in the sensory rooms. I know that some of the like activity rooms and hallways and stuff like that, but I have cameras at the school that I'm at right now, and there's not a camera in the sensory room. I feel like that's an area where students who are a little bit heightened tend to go, and then they're at times just like the student and one staff member, so that would help everybody if that camera was in that situation. This is an idea. And then I have a motion. Okay. A motion that CCAC formally advocate that the Board of Education regarding the concerns surrounding the data centers and the potential impacts on health, safety, and educational environment, accessibility, and the well-being of all students, including the Expressions program.
Specifically talking about the Carroll Manor Elementary School and the data center behind it.
Which has an Expressions program at Carroll Manor.
So you're making a motion that CCAC submit a letter to the Board of Ed, just make sure I interpret this correctly, to the Board of Education, and support and advocating for the safety for all children, especially highlighting the needs that might be present for those in special education at Carroll Manor Elementary School.
Do you have the data center or not to have the data center?
Well, the data center isn't going away. We're, I think, advocating for what needs to be
Advocating for
done.
like the health.
For the health, what the Board of Ed can do to protect the health of the children in the building.
Even if it's just like doing some reports, like obviously there's like pollution in the air, noise pollution, all those things that affect the students. We've also seen that like drones are in the air. We want to make sure that those drones are not getting the students that are outside of recess on their leaves.
I think I'm concerned about what is the thought? What is
So I'm sorry, there's a motion on the floor. Are we going to second the motion and then have a discussion? What
I was just trying to get clarity on the motion so I could present it. So the motion is for CCAC to draft a letter to the Board of Education in support of identifying the potential health impacts and ways to mitigate the potential health impacts for the children and staff at Carroll Manor Elementary School that are currently being impacted by the data center being built behind them. That's the motion on the floor.
A second.
Do we have a second? We have a second. I just stated it. I don't think I need to state it again. Everybody got that? And then do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go for it.
I support the motion and appreciate you bringing it forward. The proximity to the data center of a school with the particulate matter that will be coming from the diesel generators and the air quality related to that disproportionately impacts people with disabilities, not just the students in the school, but in the surrounding area. And the closest that part of that development can be will be 2,000 feet. There isn't proper berming, there aren't proper air quality protections for the staff and the students. I would argue it's a workplace condition concern for staff. So I fully support CCAC taking a stance given the folks that are being educated there, the staff that are educating students with disabilities, how that disproportionately impacts students with disabilities, the asthma, all of the concerns around breathing in the particulate matter that, you know, flies through the air and is not controllable. So thank you for bringing that forward.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that.
Yes.
I would like to also thank you for bringing this up. I'm also a parent of two children, but in Adamstown, that one just left Carroll Manor, one's still there. I can see the data center from the front of my home. And my other concern, in addition to all the things you've already said, is the fact that this goes beyond, I just talked to the crossing guard literally like today. The infrastructure for the traffic, I have called Frederick, whatever the line you call about even getting like a stop sign, a rumble strip, a bump, a flashing light, asking for alternative traffic routes, asking for police to come out. Like, I'm not trying to be morbid. In addition to all the health concerns that have already been said, a child is going to get hit or someone's going to get in a very serious car accident. It's not safe for anyone in the community, students and staff, whether they're trying to access going to school or leaving school, but also being outside for PE and recess, amongst everything else at a school. It's extremely unacceptable that I don't feel like we have any plan at all, and a letter is certainly a starting place, but I feel like we're so past that, that we've even had parents in the community saying we're going to do a sit-out and not send our children to school, or some other serious drastic things. They're plowing in the land, in the field, next to where we drop off and pick up our kids. This is actually beyond crisis level to me, and I'm scared, and I support this, and I want to know what else we can do, but certainly this is a starting point. There's also a sound component to a decibel level of noise for the school and the community that's like louder than a vacuum, but all the time once this is completed. And some people in Frederick County are like, oh, this hasn't happened yet, there's none built. I see it from my home. There's like 20 that are built. There's gonna be like 220 when we're done. And I know we can't stop the data center, and I don't think CCAC's trying to take that on, but the concern for me too is if we allow this without stopping to have a data center 900 feet from a school, there's other schools in Frederick County, and then what else would we be allowed to build 900 feet from a school? So obviously it's a much larger, yes. But that would be like in addition to what you guys said. Thank you for bringing it up.
I just have a quick question about that. Is Carroll, so I am ignorant about the area of where it is. Is Carroll Manor the only school, or should we be taking a stance on general on more schools? Are there ones planned near other schools? Like, should we make it broader than rather just?
I would add, you would potentially want to make it a little bit broader, because there was another proposal by Trammell Crow to put a data center within city limits, but close to a future school site. So land that has been banked to build a future school site. So you don't know what kind of students are going to be there, right? Students with disabilities or not, but just the proximity of this very intense development close to schools where kids are being educated. You know, I think CCAC has a duty to provide some sort of statement about the concern for the population that we're here to advocate for and represent.
I don't mind specifically mentioning, obviously, Carroll Manor, because it's in effect right now, but maybe then just add other potential
Tuscarora Elementary School.
Or just a
Yeah,
check?
that's
I mean,
on the
Any
other side. It's on the
any
other
existing or
side.
future
Yeah,
school
any
sites.
existing or
Tuscarora High is relevant.
It's on the other side of that particular data center site, so that's why.
that would be my only suggestion, would to be broaden it out.
Yeah, sure.
Any other discussion, Matthew?
As a teacher at Carroll Manor Elementary School, thank you, CCAC, for bringing that forward and advocating. As teachers and as working with the most vulnerable, our parents sometimes don't know what's going on, and they ask us as, you know, good stewards of the school, like what's going on in our community, and I can't always give them the proper answer. But now I just know I'm supported by my, you know, CCAC and other individuals, part of Frederick County Public Schools, so it's a positive bring to the, you know, morale of our school. We're trying to change it, we're trying to be positive, we're doing the best we can, but just thank you, and I fully support it. Thank you, Zoe, for bringing it forward. As well as, yes, when we went to the Board of Ed listening session, a group of teachers went, as well as Tuscarora Elementary School staff came and a few other parents. So they were also supporting us, and they were seeing some concerns too, like the impacts on the other side, like you were saying, Zone A. So just thank you.
I don't want to take it if somebody else has another comment, but I, as an individual board member, I can't speak on behalf of any other board member. I think this is a great discussion and a great motion to bring up. I have been advocating for more safety protocols. The one issue I have with all the work groups across the entire country, honestly, around data centers is none of them include public health. And if they included public health, that would also include children and pregnant women. You know, when we talk about industrial zones and data center zones, they are always based on the average male, what might affect the average male, and not necessarily children and women. And that's when we start to see asthma rates increase, and we start to see increased like sleepless nights. And we don't talk about this a lot, but there's one of the things that's coming out in Virginia they're talking about more is sleepless nights and how it's affecting everybody's ability to focus and ability for their kids, special education or not, to just go to school and learn appropriately, right? Because they're having that hum and constant sound nearby. There's a whole community in Virginia that the HOA is trying to find a buyer for all of the homes to then just sell it to a data center so everyone can move, because they can't get away from the sound and the decibel level and the vibration and so forth. And while the site, the Adamstown site is still under construction, eventually everyone at this point has the ability to go up 3 levels. So even if a building's only at 1 level and it doesn't have another building next to it, they can continue to build buildings next to them and continue to build up. So that doesn't mean that the building's gonna be done. And it may not be switched on just yet, but it will be coming switched on. So I would also say, just as a being on the board and learning about what we can and cannot do, and so much of what we cannot do is because of COMAR regulation and it's someone else, right? So I would include into that letter all of the representatives, because I'll tell you, there's a whole lot of state representatives right now squawking a lot about data centers who didn't do about it when it was something to be talking about last year, all right? And they could have, and they did not.
And I do think one thing to note, if you haven't been following this issue locally, is that Senator Karen Lewis Young introduced legislation for a state study bill to help us better understand all of the ramifications of this. And so it was vetoed by the governor, and then the General Assembly came back in special session and overrode the veto. So that's the results of that state study that's going to help us understand public health, environmental, energy, and all these other impacts is going to come out. I think it's due September, imminently September, October timeframe, getting those results. And then our elected leaders have to figure out how to respond to those things.
It does not include Department of Health.
Yeah.
So I think a conversation about our MOU with the Department of Health so that our nurses are prepared to sort of track when they do, especially when they turn it on, but it's a former aluminum smelting plant. So how is all that being mitigated, right? And what's going into the air? And ensuring, are we having increased asthma cases or increased sickness and health when, especially on average with other schools? And that cannot be public information, that's health information, but that can be something that internally can be a conversation we can track and make sure that we're monitoring the health of our students as well. And it's every student and family and community in that area. So that's just, I would just add that in there. Add our whole state delegation, county executive, and the county council, and the current candidates for council. As an individual member.
I trusted my secretary.
I don't know one.
She's like, what? That's why it's
support it.
Right, I'm like,
Support,
Yeah.
you know, that's the thing.
Any other discussion? Okay, so I'm gonna restate and try to incorporate everything that's been said in a succinct way, so that we can move forward with it. So Zoe has made a motion and Matthew has seconded that CCAC draft a letter of advocacy regarding looking at the impacts and how to mitigate the impacts of the data center on all children and staff at Carroll Manor Elementary School, especially those that are in special education at Carroll Manor Elementary School. And then this letter would be distributed in a very similar manner to what we did with cameras in the classroom. So it would go to our Board of Education as well as our local and state, just like we've done in the past for advocacy.
I think you missed the part about and other schools.
And other schools, Carroll Manor schools and other schools for potential in the future of other construction of this type.
Industrial zoning.
Industrial zoning, the CDI overlay.
Can I ask one?
If you will.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
The question anytime, Lauren.
My only thing that I just don't know if we can add to this, because I know obviously we can't ask like, stop the data center right now, but like, are there any though, what is the wording, like emergency crisis? Like even just that the crossing guards, like I can't even get like a flashing light and a rumble stop, like is there any, do you know what I'm saying? Like is there any?
Like traffic in front of that school and.
Well, I just didn't know if there's like any.
Specifically, right?
Okay,
I think
yeah.
that's what
So,
you're-
Yeah.
so the impact of mitigating the health and safety, which would include
that, okay.
everything about.
I just feel like maybe
the
it's
school
a-
and the impact.
Like a
'Cause
public safety concern?
Yeah, because it is a public safety concern. The impact is not only what you're breathing in the air and the noise and the vibration, but the traffic and the roads, and it's all under the arm of public health and
I
safety.
guess what I'm saying though, is there a way to have like an like at least an emergency thing for the traffic part while we're still working on the bigger, you know what I'm, like.
I think if the committee votes on the
It would all be
intent
the
of the
same.
motion, you guys can workshop all the language offline,
We have to get it-
circulate it to the committee, get
We just have to
feedback, and then send it off.
Get it moved forward, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, so yes, we can address that for sure. Okay. Is everybody with me? Okay, so now's where we vote. There's a handy dandy guide on the back of your card if you didn't know. Now's where we vote. All in favor of the motion moving forward with this letter of advocacy, raise your hand. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 22. Nays, abstentions. Okay, so the motion carries. We will work on drafting the executive officers, drafting such letter and then send it out for feedback. And then we'll get it together and push it out to all the proper channels, making sure everyone knows when it leaves and where it's gone to and what feedback we receive back. We will then also share with members of the committee. Thank you, Zoe.
thank you.
Any other staff members?
I would like to share.
Go, Katie. Go, Mary Kate. Sorry.
I just wanted to share that this summer, we did host 19 FCPS students for our Doors Work-Based Learning Experience. Emily hosted one of our students. Thank you, Emily, at the Park and Rec. But I feel like it was a huge success. We had students working across the county from Middletown, Thurmont, all the way to Urbana, and I think overall, a great experience. Because of that, we found some other partners that want to work with FCPS, so we're working on those partnerships. And this summer, I connected, or actually in the spring, I connected with Abby. She works for Optimal Health. And Abby is going to be, we're going to work together, but really Abby's doing a lot of work. She's going to be creating 11 videos about DDA and the whole process that we can share with our families and students. And she's also in the process of creating videos of DDA providers so that we have those resources for our families. So I just wanted to share those two things out. I have other things that we did over the summer, but I'll share there for another day. So, but. Thank you so much.
Always feel free, Mary Kate, to push an email if you want us to send something out as an all email, to push it to the feedback, or to go in the all chat and say, this is what's going on in my office, because we always want to hear.
Excellent, thank you.
Awesome. Any other staff? Anyone?
I'm just gonna say, anytime y'all have something that you're doing like that, or the fairs that are coming up, the Partners for Success fairs, feel free to email me at the board, just janie.monier@fcps.org, so I can mention it during public comment and let folks know that these things are happening. All right.
Then we're gonna hop over to community members. Any community members with anything you'd like to share this evening? Jen?
I just want to say it is Unified Tennis season. So if you have a child at the high school level who's looking to get involved, it's a great way to get involved. Or if you know people in the neighborhood or any other kids who want to be in the team, spread the word, because that's one of the hardest sports to get kids to do, because the eye-hand coordination's. It's a lot of fun, so if you have an opportunity to see one, go up to the school and see it.
It's awesome. I would say, as a firsthand experience, it was life-changing for my child to do unified tennis. Jen saw it. It was pretty cool. Any other community members? Okay. That said, students. Oh my God. Ivy taught me. Yell at me. Students.
I don't think we have anything to share. I just wanted to say that I really support promotion you brought up, and I think that's a really important issue. And I think I've definitely heard people talking about it, whether that was at the listening session or just in general. So thank you for being here.
Thank you both for being here. I'm sorry, I forgot. I didn't forget you. Just my brain's not 100% there. I'm so sorry. All right, so moving on. We are at the point where we're going to adjourn. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
I move to adjourn at 7:31.
Awesome. Motion by Jamie, seconded by Jen. And I will then adjourn our meeting. Our next meeting will be September 28th here in this very room with our guest, Dr. Cheryl Dyson, Superintendent of Frederick County Public Schools. So we will adjourn and stop the recording and do our business.